Come with me, toy fans.
Do you remember the good old days when toy companies would create their own concepts and franchises from within the walls of their own design departments? In today's action figure market, the vast majority of toy lines are based on licensed properties such as movies, comics and video games. But back when I was a child, this was rarely the case, with many toy companies inventing their own toy lines from the ground up, and then introducing the storyline via the medium of comics and cartoons. This became extremely prevalent during the 1980s after the Reagan government deregulated advertising on children's television, paving the way for companies to start marketing their toy brands with dedicated Saturday morning cartoons, which led to an explosion of new toy properties such as Masters of the Universe, G.I. Joe A Real American Hero, and the Centurions. A prime example of this is the M.A.S.K toy line that was first released in 1985, with its concept and design being created in-house by the Kenner Toy Company. While the M.A.S.K toy line did feature action figures, the main focus of the line was a fleet of vehicles that featured hidden gimmicks, which would transform the various modes of transport from everyday vehicles into mobile, combat-ready assault platforms. To help with toy merchandising, a M.A.S.K animated television series was produced by DiC, and was launched during the same year that the Kenner toys started hitting store shelves. And through this cartoon we learnt that illusion is the ultimate weapon. M.A.S.K is an acronym that stands for Mobile Armoured Strike Command, and the main premise of the show revolved around the fight between the titular protagonist task force and the criminal organisation known as Venom, the vicious evil network of mayhem.
M.A.S.K.
The M.A.S.K cartoon series is structured like an Adventure of the Week type serial, with the M.A.S.K task force, which is led by Matt Tracker, being relentless in their efforts to foil Venom's plans, which usually involved extortion, robbery, kidnapping, or the theft of some ancient artifact. These plans were always concocted by Miles Mayhem, the leader of the Venom criminal organisation, and carried out by his roster of henchmen.
Now it must have been mid-80s that I encountered M.A.S.K for the first time. It was on a Saturday morning on a program called Fun Factory, and there it was, the M.A.S.K cartoon, and it started off with that great intro song.
But we can't play any more of this classic tune here or we'll get demonetised.
The toys were great. I remember walking down the toy aisle and saw those toy shelves, and later that year in the holiday season I got my first M.A.S.K vehicle, and that was Thunderhawk. Then I got Condor, and I also got, which I think is everyone's favourite, Scott and T-Bob that year.
Kenner's range of M.A.S.K toys is an underrated gem of 1980s pop culture, and they're immensely well-made transforming vehicles packed in so much play value that the Mobile Armoured Strike Command remains one of the best toy lines of the decade. Hey toy fans, my name is Tony and welcome back to the Analog Toys YouTube channel, where we're obsessed with bringing you the true history of vintage toys and action figures. And to help me review this line, I've brought in some M.A.S.K special agents. That's right, in this video I'm very pleased to say that I'll be collaborating with my three friends from the Chasing 80s Toys YouTube channel, Chris Miwa, Jeff Barker and Scuba Pete. From 1978 onward, Kenner was producing some of the world's best-selling action figures with their Star Wars line, which was based on the mega-hit trilogy of movies. But with Return of the Jedi effectively ending the media franchise for the foreseeable future, Kenner found it challenging to maintain fan interest in the toys beyond 1984. With Star Wars retail sales waning, company management looked inward to see if their own design department could develop a concept for a toy line that Kenner could build into its own brand.
I dearly love all things Kenner, and I think as I get older I start to appreciate even more the history of that corporation, and it just makes me fall in love with a lot of their other properties that I did not necessarily know or play with when I was a kid.
At the time, toy competitors such as Mattel and Hasbro were doing great business with their Masters of the Universe toy line and the Transformers and the G.I. Joe A Real American Hero brands, all three of which had accompanying cartoons airing on network television. Kenner likely drew some inspiration from the two Hasbro franchises when developing M.A.S.K, with the action figure and vehicle combination concept taken from G.I. Joe, and the transforming toy element taken from, well, Transformers. Kenner then successfully blended these elements to create their own recipe for M.A.S.K.
The engineering is so intricate to it. I'm not an engineer by trade. Chemistry is my game. But what goes into making one of these vehicles go through its transformations seamlessly and still hold up all these years later is quite astounding.
M.A.S.K, where illusion is the ultimate weapon.
Convert Switchblade to jet mode. Surprise, Matt Tracker. It's mayhem. Battle station. Protect the decoder, Bruce. I'm going up. Stacks ready to fire.
M.A.S.K, Switchblade, Thunderhawk, and Rhino.
Fire!
Each sold separately with action figure.
Cover me, Matt. 10-4. Sato's getting away, but you're not, Mayhem.
M.A.S.K, Switchblade, Thunderhawk, and Rhino. Each sold separately. New from Kenner.
Series 1 brought us 5 M.A.S.K vehicles, including the Rhino, the Thunderhawk, the Firecracker, the Gator, and Condor, along with 3 Venom vehicles, the Switchblade, the Jackhammer, and the Piranha. And of course, no 80s toy line is ever considered truly complete without an epic playset, so Kenner offered us the excellent Boulder Hill. Each of these toy vehicles comes with a driver action figure, and for better or worse, what separated these figures from the other popular toy lines of the 80s was their much smaller scale. Standing just shy of 3 inches in height, these figures are still afforded a decent amount of articulation, with joints at the knees, hips, shoulders, and neck. All these figures also come with a removable helmet accessory. In the cartoon, the main cast of characters all wear masks, with each mask featuring a unique special ability, and it's these superpowered masks that inspired the title of the show. For example, M.A.S.K agent Bruce Sato uses a mask named Lifter that has the power to control gravity and levitate objects. While Venom's Vanessa Warfield has a mask that shoots an electric whip to snap at the enemy. Yet it's Matt Tracker's Spectrum mask that is the most powerful of them all. In fact, it's so powerful the writers should have just called it the plot device. The Thunderhawk is a red Camaro car that transforms into a fighter jet, and it is driven by M.A.S.K leader Matt Tracker. And here to talk about the Thunderhawk in greater detail is Chris Miwa from Chasing 80s Toys.
Matt Tracker, leader of M.A.S.K. He didn't have just any old vehicle to pilot. He got an 80s Chevrolet Camaro in red. Meet Thunderhawk. And what do we get? A red sports car, cool decals, and gull-wing doors. This is one iconic vehicle of the 80s. Here we have Matt Tracker, leader of M.A.S.K, wearing the short helmet, that's this one over here, called Spectrum. And this helmet could do almost everything. But now let's take a closer look at Thunderhawk. Just take a look at this beautiful car. With M.A.S.K you get lots of detail. And the tires were made by a real car tire manufacturer. These are Goodyear tires. With M.A.S.K it's all about the transformation, and the transformation of this Camaro can be done by the touch of one button. It's one of the most easiest to transform vehicles in the lineup. Button is on top here, and by pressing it, it will open both gull-wing doors and releases the spoiler on the back. 2 afterburners here for propulsion. Laser guns on the side of each door. And this gives me the perfect opportunity to show you the inside of Thunderhawk, because there's some amazing details there as well. Here we have Matt Tracker behind the wheel, and you can see one detail already, and that's seat belts. A lot of the vehicles in the M.A.S.K toy line had seat belts. Safety first. In the cockpit we get a cool sticker for the dashboard. One other cool play feature of Thunderhawk is the 2 afterburners over here. You can press them. By doing so, that releases 2 of the magnetic bombs that are below on the car frame.
If at first you don't succeed, drop a magnetic bomb.
But that's basically Thunderhawk in a nutshell for you. I hope you enjoyed my look at Thunderhawk, and now onwards with the toy history of M.A.S.K. Back to you, Tony.
The Thunderhawk is a very cool toy, but the two small bombs are easily lost and difficult to find today, as is Matt Tracker's removable mask, especially if you have the first issue design, which is shorter, with all the later issue masks being redesigned by Kenner to include a plastic moulding that extends down over the chest. While I don't know this for certain, my guess is that Kenner opted to change these accessories so that children either wouldn't lose them so easily, or possibly for safety reasons. Condor is piloted by Brad Turner, who comes with his removable Hocus Pocus mask, and this bright green motorcycle transforms into a one-man helicopter, and due to its small size, this is one of the most affordable toys in the Kenner mask range, and the only one that I owned in childhood.
I find myself collecting masks now slightly out of peer pressure from Jody and Chris, but that's part of the fun. Like, they're teaching me about this toy line that I really knew nothing about. And it's a lot of fun to take in that new information like a sponge.
The Gator is an off-road Jeep that is driven by Dusty Hayes with his backlash mask. This vehicle includes a flip-forward Atom Blaster cannon that is mounted to the roll bar, but the coolest feature is the spring-loaded hydroplane that launches out at the front of the Jeep at the push of a button. Once on the water, the hydroplane can also eject a sonic depth charge from the rear of the craft.
Excuse me, which way did he go? Thank you kindly.
Next up we have the Firecracker, and this toy holds a lot of sentimental value for me because it was donated to the channel by a bunch of great friends. Hondo McLean with his Blaster 1 mask is the driver of the Firecracker, and this vehicle is a pickup truck that transforms into an armoured recon vehicle with a dirt bike mounted on the tailgate. And this toy was a late addition to Series 1, and as such it doesn't appear in any of the early mask advertising material. When I was a child I always loved products that offered me two toys in one box. That was always the appeal of the G.I. Joe Havoc, with its recon craft that could deploy from the rear. So packing in a dirt bike with the Firecracker really offers that extra play value that I adore. The Firecracker is one of the more complex toys in the range, with both easy to lose and easy to break parts. But that doesn't stop it from being awesome. When in pickup truck mode we have a hinged tailgate, detachable spotlights on the roll bar, opening doors, and a clip that attaches to the tailgate on which you can mount the dirt bike. Yet when turned into attack mode at the flip of a switch, the main body of the Firecracker is elevated above the chassis on a spring mechanism that also sends cannons protruding through the front grille. This transformation also reveals rear freeze cannons mounted to the back axle, and with the flip of another switch, the spare tyre launches from the rear and reveals 4 spinning blades. All these exciting play features make the Firecracker a ton of fun to play with, but what I enjoy most is how many of these features seem almost plausible.
Shredder, do your stuff. Oh no!
Before we get into the show-stopping good guy vehicle, let's hand things over to Scuba Pete to discuss Venom's Switchblade.
Behold, the 1985 Wave 1 Switchblade. I think this is the quintessential bad guy vehicle from that wave, and it's piloted by the evil Miles Mayhem. You know, he runs that top-notch evil organization, Venom, the vicious evil network of mayhem. You know you're a baddie when your name's in your evil organization. This was a great vehicle that transformed from helicopter to fighter jet. Let's check out that awesome transformation. All right. We've got Miles Mayhem with his Viper mask loaded into the cockpit. This is the long mask version. There is a short mask version out there. But let's see how this bad boy transforms from a Switchblade helicopter to Switchblade jet. First up, we gotta take care of the blades. Those fold down until you hear that click. Now, fold the tail up and watch this. Oh yeah, wings pop out, front laser cannons, and on the landing skids, more lasers, and those fold up so it's full on jet mode. Now, underneath is a place for a bomb to go, an orange bomb. I don't have it, but this example I picked up from my neighbor for 25 bucks. Now, back in the day, it originally only sold for 20 bucks. But how cool is the Switchblade?
As Pete alluded to, the bomb for the Switchblade is often missing, but it's a fun feature if you still have one, as you drop it on unsuspecting mask agents at the push of a button.
I knew it! I just knew it!
A smaller price point vehicle for the bad guys is the Piranha, which is a purple motorcycle with sidecar that is driven by Slyrax with his stiletto mask. The Piranha has 2 push buttons on the back of the sidecar, the smaller of which deploys stabilising fins and a pair of front cannons. When the second button is depressed, it launches the sidecar module forward, becoming a submarine in the process, so it's very important to remember to close the canopy or your pilot will surely drown.
An incredible secret is revealed when innocent-looking vehicles and ordinary men become an awesome fighting team. It's the secret of M.A.S.K, where illusion is the ultimate weapon. Piranha's getting away with the laser blueprints. Condors,
Ready for takeoff.
M.A.S.K vehicles in playset, each sold separately with action figures.
I'll let him off at the river.
But Gator's ready, and he never gives up.
Surprise, you're through.
M.A.S.K, where illusion is the ultimate weapon.
Wow!
Venom's Jackhammer is a Ford Bronco that transforms into an armoured assault vehicle, and here to give us the rundown on the Jackhammer is Jeff Barker from Chasing 80s Toys.
Jackhammer. Pretty cool, huh? It's from M.A.S.K, as you well know. I didn't know that for the longest time. I've never been a M.A.S.K fan, never was a huge watcher of that series. I'm a fan now because of this guy, and a gift from Chris and Jody, a few other people. He's a bad guy. That's all I knew at first getting into this one. But the design is really amazing. It's based on the Ford Bronco. I think it's from '86. I would love to have a Ford Bronco like this. Yeah, really, really cool figure. But, you know, the figures of M.A.S.K, as you guys all well know, different scale, nothing else really in this scale. And it just works because of the vehicles are the key. I can't imagine this in a bigger size. So I'm going to attempt to transform this guy. I'm going to put him up front talking to you as I do it. And I don't transform this very much because I know they're kind of fragile. So, but yeah, how awesome is that? And let's get the front. There we go. Venom's ready to go. And let's put him in the back here. He's ready to kick some tail. Right there. Close it up. Jackhammer.
Acquiring a complete Jackhammer today can be quite challenging, because the gun that mounts to the turret, which is also stored under the turret when in disguise mode, is very often missing.
Oh no!
The Rhino is the biggest vehicle in Series 1, and I have a lot of fond memories of playing with this because my friend down the street got one for Christmas. With its purple colour scheme and a myriad of chrome accents, the Rhino is a truly gorgeous toy, and a must-have piece for any dedicated Kenner mask collection. This vehicle also comes with 2 action figures, Bruce Sato and Matt Tracker. Bruce Sato is equipped with the lifter mask, while Matt Tracker, who is dressed in a different outfit to the figure that came with the Thunderhawk, is supplied with the Ultra Flash mask. It is surprising that Alex Sector wasn't included here, given how often he is seen riding in the Rhino in the cartoon, but Kenner decided to issue him with the Boulder Hill playset instead. The Rhino is a 10-wheeled big rig that converts into a mobile defence unit, and this toy is bristling with exciting play features. The rig includes opening cabin doors that feature gorgeous chromed wing mirrors, and when mobile, the Rhino has a power ram feature that is operated at the push of a button, as well as an enemy ejector seat. To transform the Rhino into a defence unit, you pull back the sleeping section of the cabin, and it reveals a computer command centre with a ramp that folds down. The smokestacks are lowered and converted into powerful laser cannons, while the wind deflector becomes a rotatable radar scanning dish. Once in this defence mode, a small all-terrain vehicle can be deployed, with the trailer hitch plate flipping up to protect the driver from a rearward attack. But the final feature of the Rhino is its most devastating, and that is the spring-loaded missile that is launched from the computer command centre, and is used to target a Venom convoy.
He's all yours, Bruce. Smoke screen on.
The headquarters of the M.A.S.K Task Force is Boulder Hill, a gas station that converts into an armoured bunker through a chain of impressive transformations. I have already reviewed this in depth in another video, and if you'd like to watch that video, you'll find a link in the description below. The M.A.S.K cartoon was super cool and the toy line was awesome, except for Scott and T-Bob. These characters are an example of that twisted 80s idea that children needed a child character in their media franchises to give them a relatable vessel through which to consume the story. But that simply isn't true. We didn't need a child hero to enjoy Star Wars, Indiana Jones or Ghostbusters. But for some never to be explained reason, TV producers often thought we needed them in 80s cartoons, and what we ended up with was an annoying kid that was way too familiar with his robotic buddy.
I remember coming home from middle school and my younger brother was watching the cartoon on TV, and I would sit down from time to time and watch it, but I got really annoyed with the whole Scott T-Bob thing, and I just could not become invested in it. And so it was kind of a hindrance to me enjoying the show. Since I was 13, I was off to go play with my Joes or Space Lego.
These figures were sold either boxed or carded and are only essential to your collection if you're a Ken and M.A.S.K completist.
I don't know if stowing away on this mission was such a hot idea.
For once, I agree with you.
It used to take most 80s action figure lines a year or two to really perfect their product offerings. But this wasn't the case with Ken as M.A.S.K. Series 1 was the peak of the mountain, and with their countless chrome accessories, staggeringly impressive engineering, realistic rubber tyres, working seatbelts and truly gorgeous vehicle designs, Kenner hit this line out of the park on its first swing. That's not to say that Series 2 and beyond is bad in any way, it's just that all the best toys in this range are from Series 1. Season 1 of the M.A.S.K cartoon was developed for television syndication, which meant that it had 65 episodes that could be played every weekday over a 13-week period. With so much packed into one animated series, all of Kenner's product offerings for Series 2 of the toy line in 1986 were based on other vehicles featured on Season 1 of the TV show. A favourite of mine from Series 2 is the Hurricane, a 57 Chevy that transforms into a 6-wheeled field command post that is driven by Hondo McLean and his Blaster 2 mask. With an aqua-coloured base coat and a flame paint job, this vehicle is smoking hot in the best way possible. And who doesn't love launching a bomb that is disguised as a spare tyre?
It's 1986, Wave 2 of M.A.S.K is out in the US, and the vehicle I'm going to show from Wave 2 is one of your favorites, Jody. Are you watching? The Firefly, this piece of magnificence. Let's take a close-up and see what it can do. Here he is up close, Firefly, and like every vehicle in the M.A.S.K toy line, he came with a pilot. The driver of this vehicle is Julio Lopez, and he's pretty cool. And you want to know why? Because he has a mustache, and every action figure of the 80s with a mustache is pretty cool in my book. He came with a mask called Streamer, and in the cartoon it could fire some sticky foam-like projectile from the mask. It also came with this small projectile, which can be dropped from the Firefly in flight mode. Easy to get lost. Want to get a complete one of these? Make sure this is included. Again, we get those beautiful rubber tires made by Goodyear. Love the decals and the orange. This screams 80s to me, this color scheme with those decals. And now for the transformation, which is relatively easy again for this one. 2 levers on top of the engine block. This one over here is to drop the bomb once this vehicle is in flight mode. You can do that. And this one spreads the wings of this vehicle. Just push it backwards. And the wings fold out. 2 guns on either side. One thing, and that's what Jody once pointed out to me, is the Achilles heel of this vehicle, if you like, are these 2 flaps up front. In order to transform to flight mode, you have to fold them backwards, and if you look closely over here, you see no hinges whatsoever where you fold these open. Now we come to the point where I want to show you that projectile. If you pull back this lever over here, you can see this compartment opening up. That's where you load your projectile in. Okay, there's T-Bob again. fly over a target, release the switch and bombs away. That's how she flies. Pretty cool vehicle. In my book, I know it's your favorite, Jody, so that's why we had to feature this on this History of M.A.S.K Toys video. Back to you, Tony.
Another notable Series 2 entry is the Venom Outlaw, an oil tanker that converts into a mobile headquarters. The drivers of the Outlaw are Miles Mayhem with Python Mask and Nash Gory with Powerhouse Mask. The front cab of the tanker flips forward to reveal a pop-up turret complete with grappling hook launcher, while the rear of the tanker rotates upwards to expose a giant howitzer with spring-loaded launching missiles. What I enjoy most about this vehicle is the artwork on the side of the tanker, which features a huge snake oil logo, and I imagine the creators had a good chuckle at their inside joke making its way into the final design. While M.A.S.K is very much a vehicle-centric line, Kenner did offer additional ways to obtain extra action figures. Carded figures first appeared as 2-packs in 1985, allowing children to collect their favourite characters without their vehicles and at a much cheaper cost. But for the modern enthusiast, unless you collect mint in package, these items are superfluous. The adventure packs, on the other hand, were released in the US in 1986, with second series agents featuring unique masks and accessory packs. And there are some very interesting items offered here for the completist collector.
Whether you're a completist or not, there's something for everyone in this line, and that's what makes collecting M.A.S.K great. You can start with relatively low-priced, smaller vehicles, like the Condor over here, or some of the other motorbikes from the series. There's Iguana, Vampire, Piranha. And you can find a lot of M.A.S.K toys online. It's not that hard to find. Some of the bigger vehicles, like a Rhino for instance, they're going up in price. The Switchblade, to get a complete, good-looking example of that, that's quite pricey. A playset like Boulder Hill, to get that complete and working, that's gonna cost you. Start with smaller vehicles or some figures, or and build from there. But the main reason why it's cool collecting M.A.S.K for me is the community. Going on yourself on an adventure is fun, but when you have somebody alongside there for the journey to share that adventure and those moments and those memories with, is even more special. And we have an amazing community of M.A.S.K collecting friends, and still growing. More people get affected by this M.A.S.K virus, and I'm speaking to you, Brandon, Haley, if you're watching this. It's an amazing toy line.
The third series of M.A.S.K toys, also known as the Racing Series, was released in 1987, and it tied in with Season 2 of the M.A.S.K TV show. Season 2 of the animated series was a huge departure from what had come before, with the showrunners doing away with the combative conflict between M.A.S.K and Venom, and instead having them compete against each other in auto races that are hosted all across the globe. This new season was nowhere near as popular as the first, but the accompanying toy wave did provide us with a true fan favourite for the Kenner M.A.S.K line. Many 80s action figure lines were reluctant to include female characters, which left our childhood collections with gaping holes in the cast list, and until M.A.S.K Series 3 was released, this toy line looked like it would follow the same pattern. Both the heroes and the villains of M.A.S.K included a strong female character on each team. Gloria Baker for the good guys and Vanessa Warfield for the bad guys. We were finally provided with at least one of the main female characters, in the form of Vanessa, with her Nissan 300ZX that could transform into an assault plane. The gorgeous example that I have in my collection was very graciously gifted to me by Dean from the All Things 80s YouTube channel. And this vehicle has a really cool transformation, with wings that sweep out, weapons that pop up, and a quick escape seat that is deployed at the push of a button. The fourth and final series of M.A.S.K is known as the Split Seconds. It was released in late 1987 and it included 9 vehicles. This series had a unique feature that differentiated it from the other waves in the toy line, as all vehicles would transform and split into 2 different crafts, with each one driven by the agent and the computer avatar. None of these vehicles were seen in the M.A.S.K TV show, and I believe that directly contributed to the imminent cancellation of the M.A.S.K toy line. Once most toy lines have achieved several years of success, it's usually the final year of production that gives us the rarest items in the range. Because when enthusiasm for the line declines, so do sales figures, and the reduced production numbers reflect this decrease in retail sales. That's why the Action Man Missile Assault and the last 17 Star Wars figures are so desirable today. And M.A.S.K is no exception, with the holy grail piece of the entire line being a toy that was released during its final year of production, the M.A.S.K Laser Command.
M.A.S.K, like you've never seen it before. Actual toys don't shoot light rays. Batteries not included. The new M.A.S.K Laser Command. Meet the explosive Venom Rat Fang.
I know you're out here somewhere, Tracker.
Meet the laser-firing M.A.S.K Hornet.
You called mayhem? I'll make toothpicks out of that crate. Right. Yeah, gotcha. Pow! Bam! You're done for.
The new laser power of M.A.S.K, Laser Command.
Although Kenner continued to sell M.A.S.K toys in 1988, no new toys were created for the line beyond Series 4. Despite only lasting 3 years on retail shelves, M.A.S.K's extensive lineup of supremely high-quality toys has cemented its legacy as one of the best action figure lines of the 1980s. Where other iconic 80s lines such as Transformers, G.I. Joe and Masters of the Universe have all seen renewed success in later decades, with all three having products on store shelves today, M.A.S.K has yet to be brought back to toy stores in any significant way.
Will there be a M.A.S.K movie? Will there be a toy revival? I don't know. Long if it's done well by people who love and care and respect the franchise, I think this could be a good success.
While the Ramen Toy Company is coming out with a modern interpretation of the Thunderhawk, this is an unlicensed boutique toy item, and only time will tell if it sparks a M.A.S.K toy revival.
But I really think that Hasbro is missing the mark by not investing in this property. I think it would be great for them to do a G.I. Joe M.A.S.K crossover.
I agree with Pete, and while I would welcome a return of M.A.S.K toys, I personally just can't see it happening in today's modern collector landscape. Almost all action figure lines today are produced in the 6-inch scale, and I'm sure some people would clamour for a 1:12 scale Matt Tracker or Miles Mayhem figure. The vast majority of us are more interested in the vehicles than the figures, and that scale would make M.A.S.K toys far too costly to produce. So what if current M.A.S.K license holder Hasbro decided to bring these toys out in a smaller scale?
I think make it in a 3 3/4 inch scale. Give us these vehicles. Now, do I think they're going to be engineered as highly as the original Kenner? Absolutely not.
And that's because the biggest investment a company has to lay out before getting a toy into production is the tooling cost. And with such intricately complex designs that feature a multitude of unique parts required to make the engineering of the vehicle transformations functional, these toys would be far too expensive to manufacture in any scale. But they would make for a good HasLab project.
It still would be cool to have a Thunderhawk Joe scale that you could display and set up vignettes with your Joes, and along with so many of those other excellent vehicles.
Hopefully, there is a really bright future for M.A.S.K. I know that there was some, IDW did a few of the comic books that have been around recently. They've had some crossover with G.I. Joes, Transformers, trying to build an expanded universe of things within of storylines within the comics. Hopefully it goes past that and they bring this back. If they do, this is one of the lines though that I think that could be done very wrong if they bring it back wrong because of the size and the scale of these guys, because as we all know that the focus of this line is the vehicles and the detail and the amazing mechanics around the vehicles and the way they transform and move. It's not the characters or the figures as much. So hopefully if they bring it back, they bring it back at the right scale and do it the right way.
Kenner's M.A.S.K range is a stellar lineup of quality 1980s toy product, and a glowing example of those good old days when toy manufacturers were inspired to innovate and try something new. The Mobile Armoured Strike Command from Kenner, where ambition is the ultimate weapon. So thank you all for watching, and if you enjoyed this video and you'd like to check out some other Toy Histories episode, you can click the playlist up here, or subscribe to the Chasing 80s Toys YouTube channel by clicking here. I'm Tony from Analog Toys, and I'll see you in the next video.